musicians were the gods. Hermes made the lyre and gave it to Apollo, who played melodies so beautiful in Olympus that the other gods forgot everything else when they heard his music. The muses did not play instruments, but their singing voices were lovely beyond compare. There were few mortals that were such excellent performers that they almost equaled the divine. Of these, by far, the greatest was Orpheus. His mother was one of the Muses, and his father was a Thracian prince. His mother blessed him with the gift of music, and his home, Thrace, fostered his talent. No one could resist his music when he played or sang. His music was so powerful that it moved rocks and trees and changed the flow of rivers. Orpheus once sailed with Jason on his ship the Argo on a quest to find the Golden Fleece. When the sailors grew weary of rowing, Orpheus would strum his lyre, and they would have renewed energy. If the men started fighting amongst themselves, Orpheus would play a tender song and soothe their anger. When the Argo got too close to the sirens singing their enchanting songs to lure the ship to the rocks and the sailors to their demise, Orpheus played a song so beautiful that it drowned out the sound of the sirens and saved the ship from destruction. Sometime later, Orpheus met and fell in love with Eurydice, and they were married. Shortly after the wedding, Eurydice was walking with her bridesmaids through a meadow where she was bitten by a viper and died. Orpheus was overwhelmed with grief. He vowed to travel to the underworld and retrieve her from the god Hades. To get to Hades' palace, Orpheus had to travel past many of the underworld's inhabitants. First, he had to pass all the restless souls waiting to cross the river Styx, but could not because they weren't properly buried. Then he had to get past the fearsome three-headed dog, Cerberus. After that, he had to travel past the formidable Furies who guard Tartarus, where the gods send damned souls. When Orpheus reached the multitudes of wandering souls, he struck his lyre, and they all became still. When he played for Cerberus, the creature relaxed his guard. The Furies were moved to tears by the sound of Orpheus' music. As he passed Tartarus, he saw Axion turning on his wheel over flames, and for that moment the wheel stopped turning. Then he saw Sisyphus, who was forever pushing his boulder up a mountain, only to watch it roll back down again each time. Finally, Orpheus made his way up to the palace of Hades and Persephone. He approached the god and goddess on their thrones and began playing his lyre while singing his song. I've come to plead for kindness, O gods who rule the silence. In the end we all must go, I know, to dark down here with you. So many days been crying for one too young for dying. My bride to be did go to the dark down here too soon. Orpheus' song moved Hades, lord of the underworld, to shed tears of iron. Hades summoned Eurydice. He then instructed Orpheus to lead her out through the ivory gate. But he was not allowed to look back at her until they were both outside of the gates of the underworld. Orpheus did as Hades commanded. He led Eurydice up and out the underworld, and as much as he wanted to, he did not look back. At the end, Orpheus stepped past the ivory gate. He could not wait to set eyes on his love once more, but he turned around too soon. Eurydice had not yet crossed the gate. She only had time to say farewell. Then she was gone. He tried to follow her back down, but the gods would not allow Orpheus to enter the underworld a second time while he was still alive. Orpheus bore his grief alone in the wilderness. The animals and the trees were his only company, and his only solace was his lyre. One day, a group of Maenads, the nurses of Dionysus, the god of the wine, were roaming the woods in a frenzied state. There they came upon Orpheus. Orpheus was slain. Soon after, his mother found his body and buried it at the foot of Mount Olympus, home to the gods. To this day, the nightingales sing more sweetly than anywhere else in the world. After death, Orpheus was reunited with his love Eurydice in the underworld. There they remain, blissful, in the Elysian field, where heroic and virtuous souls rest for eternity.